The void of space trembled as two unstoppable forces hurtled toward an inevitable clash. One, a raging titan of limitless strength, his emerald skin glowing with fury that could shatter worlds. The other, an immortal hunter, grinning through his cigar smoke, eager for the bloodshed that fueled his very existence. On the war-torn ruins of Ragnor Prime, where civilizations had crumbled and gods had fallen, a battle unlike any other was about to begin. One that would shake the cosmos and carve a new legend into the stars. The main man had a job to do. The Hulk had a score to settle. And in the end, only one would stand. The void of space was eerily silent, a vast expanse dotted with the cold light of distant stars. Within this infinite darkness, a massive shadow loomed, a war-torn planet known as Ragnor Prime. The planet's surface bore the scars of countless battles, its landscape a grim testament to the chaotic forces that had ravaged it for eons. It was here, amidst the ruins of a forgotten civilization, that the reckoning would begin. A lone figure sat atop a jagged outcropping of rock, his eyes hidden behind dark, reflective goggles. He smirked, a cigar clenched between his teeth. This was Lobo, the last Charnian, a notorious bounty hunter feared across the galaxy. A bounty had brought him here, but not just any bounty. The Hulk. The Intergalactic crime syndicate had grown tired of Hulk's unchecked rampages, his destructive power a threat to their operations. They needed someone who could match the Green Behemoth's raw strength and outlast his unrelenting fury. And so, they called upon Lobo. Lobo reveled in the mission, the smell of chaos, the anticipation of an all-out brawl. This was his element. He took a long drag from his cigar, letting the smoke curl lazily through the air as he surveyed the battlefield. The ruins stretched for miles, ancient spires crumbling under the weight of time. He cracked his knuckles, the sound like gunfire in the dead silence. Meanwhile, deep within the ruins, a hulking figure moved with a purpose. His massive frame was silhouetted against the smoldering remains of a once great city. The Hulk, in his world-breaker form, sought vengeance against those who had wronged him. His muscles bulged with power, his eyes glowed with a rage that burned brighter than the sun. He had been betrayed, manipulated by cosmic forces that saw him as a pawn. Now, he would make them pay. His footsteps sent tremors through the ground, the very planet reacting to his fury. Every breath he took was like the inhalation of a storm, his chest heaving with restrained power. Memories of past betrayals flickered through his mind, fueling the fire in his veins. No more running, no more hiding. This time, he would stand and fight. Lobo, ever the showman, decided to make his presence known. He revved the engine of his space hog, a deafening roar that echoed across the desolate landscape. The sound was like a battle cry, a signal that the hunt was on. The Hulk turned, his gaze narrowing as he spotted the approaching figure. Lobo's grin widened. He loved a good fight, especially when it promised to be messy. With a flick of his wrist, Lobo drew his plasma chain, the weapon glinting ominously in the faint starlight. He hurtled toward the Hulk, his laughter ringing out like the howl of a madman. The clash of titans had begun. Their first encounter was a brutal collision of raw power. Hulk lunged forward, his massive fists cracking the ground beneath him. Lobo met the charge head-on, his plasma chain wrapping around Hulk's arm. The ground shook with the force of their impact, sending shockwaves that rippled through the planet's crust. For a moment, the two stood locked in a stalemate, each testing the other's strength. But Lobo was no ordinary opponent. With a flick of his chain, he pulled Hulk off balance, sending the green giant crashing into a nearby ruin. The debris exploded outward, a cloud of dust and rubble filling the air. Hulk emerged from the wreckage, his eyes blazing with fury. His roar was deafening, a primal sound that echoed across the desolate landscape. Lobo laughed, his eyes gleaming with excitement. "That all you got, big guy?" he taunted, his voice dripping with bravado. He reveled in the chaos, the sheer thrill of the fight. This was what he lived for, a challenge, an opponent who could push him to his limits. Hulk needed no further provocation. He charged again, his fists a blur of motion. Lobo ducked and weaved, his reflexes honed from years of battle. He lashed out with his chain, the weapon slicing through the air with lethal precision. Each strike was calculated, aimed to exploit any weakness in Hulk's defenses. But Hulk was relentless, his strength growing with every blow. The battle raged across the planet, their fight leaving a trail of destruction in its wake. They crashed through ancient structures, leveled mountains, and even caused tectonic shifts. Their raw power threatened to tear the planet apart. Despite the devastation, neither combatant showed any sign of slowing down. Hulk's rage fueled his strength, while Lobo's sheer tenacity kept him in the fight. Eventually, their battle carried them into the void of space. They clashed amidst the asteroids, their combat an awe-inspiring display of power and resilience. Hulk hurled massive boulders with ease, while Lobo countered with his arsenal of advanced weaponry. Each blow was a testament to their incredible might, their fight transcending the limits of mortal combat. But Lobo was nothing if not resourceful. He quickly realized that brute force alone wouldn't be enough to take down the Hulk. He needed a plan, a way to exploit the Hulk's one true weakness, his mind. With a sly grin, Lobo began to play dirty. He used his cunning to lure Hulk into traps, exploiting the terrain and his own weapons to weaken his opponent. Hulk, for all his power, was not without intelligence. He adapted quickly, learning from Lobo's tactics and countering with his own brute strength. The fight became a deadly game of cat and mouse, each combatant pushing the other to their limits. Lobo, however, had one advantage: his immortality. No matter how much damage he took, he always got back up. As the battle wore on, it became clear that this was a war of attrition. Hulk's strength was boundless, but his rage would eventually burn out. Lobo, on the other hand, thrived in chaos. He reveled in the challenge, his endurance unmatched. It was this unyielding resilience that eventually gave him the upper hand. With a final, calculated strike, Lobo managed to immobilize the Hulk, using a combination of his plasma chain and advanced tech to drain Hulk's strength. For a moment, it seemed as if the fight was over. But even in defeat, Hulk's spirit remained unbroken. As Lobo stood victorious, he couldn't help but admire the sheer tenacity of his opponent. "You're one tough bastard," Lobo admitted, his voice tinged with genuine respect. "But the main man always gets his bounty." Hulk, weakened but defiant, growled in response. Their battle may have ended, but their rivalry was far from over. And in the vast expanse of the cosmos, the legend of their epic clash would live on forever.